talk about the New England Patriots and Drake Maye. Right now, the New England Patriots are 3-13 on the season, and this is not a good situation for Drake Maye or even Coach Mayo. But before I get into the roster today, I want to talk about what Bill Belichick did in his later years with the New England Patriots as a head coach and as a general manager. Bill Belichick, the head coach, phenomenal. He's going to go down as the best head coach in Patriots history and one of the best head coaches in NFL history. In my opinion, he's the best head coach in NFL history. Even without Tom Brady, he did have some success. But first, we have to talk about the general manager. The general manager, Bill Belichick, and the head coach, two different people. The in-game adjustments, by far, some of the best adjustments I've ever seen on film. Shout out to Belichick. The general manager over the last few years has put this team in this situation. This is the same man that went out there and drafted N'Keal Harry over DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown, Deontay Johnson, Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin. All of those wide receivers are better than N'Keal Harry. N'Keal Harry was a terrible player with the New England Patriots. He couldn't separate. Sure, he'll get some 50-50 balls here and there in the red zone, but he did little to nothing with the Patriots. And they have missed on the wide receiving position over the last few years under Bill Belichick. This is the same man that went out there and drafted Mac Jones. Now, I will give him credit for this. And Mac Jones' rookie season, he went out there, made the NFL playoffs. They got the doors blew off them by the Buffalo Bills, but you saw the potential there. But something very important happened after that season. Josh McDaniels went to become the head coach with the Las Vegas Raiders. No one thought that Josh McDaniels was going to leave the New England Patriots. This is the same man that went out there a few years before and accepted the job with the Indianapolis Colts. And then he walked away at the last minute. He got cold feet. He went right back to the Patriots. They were grooming him to be the head coach with the Patriots. But he walked away. He went to the Raiders, and he was a terrible head coach with the Las Vegas Raiders. The reason why that's so important, Bill Belichick started to lose his mind. He had Matt Patricia and Joe Judge both calling offensive plays in the preseason, but he liked Matt Patricia more. So Matt Patricia would call plays in the actual season, in the regular season. The problem was this: Joe Judge was a former special teams coach. Matt Patricia is a former defensive coordinator. Neither one of those guys have any business calling offensive plays in the NFL. And Mac Jones' career would take a downward spiral. Now, Mac Jones is a bad quarterback, but Bill Belichick put that man in a horrible situation. And the reason why I bring all of that up, bringing in the wrong players, going out there and drafting 2 tight ends and immediately going into free agency and spending a lot of money, something that Bill Belichick rarely did. But as soon as Tom Brady walked away and he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he goes to Robert Kraft. We need to spend money. Brings in Matthew Judon, brings in Hunter Henry, goes out there and gets Jonnu Smith. But you just drafted 2 tight ends. That's not a good look. Now, Jonnu Smith was misused with this organization. He was not a very good player, but you look at him now with the Miami Dolphins. He's having a career year. And yes, he's in a better situation. But I've seen him with the Tennessee Titans. He was a very good tight end. Even that 1 year with the Atlanta Falcons, he was solid. Matthew Judon, very good pass rusher. We know how that tenure ended. Him and Jerod Mayo, they had a lot of disagreements. They traded him away. They still had that Patriots way going on with this organization. And Hunter Henry has been a solid tight end. But Bill Belichick drafting offensive talent has not been good in the later end of his career with the Patriots. And it brings me into today's conversation. And yes, he drafted Cole Strange. Cole Strange is a very good player. This team is behind the 8 ball talent-wise. I know that Coach Mayo is on the hot seat right now by a lot of Boston fans. They're not happy with him right now. The Patriot fan base, they're done with Coach Mayo, and they want to see Mike Vrabel possibly be the head coach and bring back Josh McDaniels. But Coach Mayo was not put into a good situation. This team was 4-13 last year. 4-13. The defense was better last season. I will give you that. But they're going to have identical records, if not just 1 win less. That's not all on Coach Mayo. The management with this organization has not been good over the last few years due to Bill Belichick. When I look at Drake Maye right now, he has all the potential in the world. This kid could be a franchise quarterback in the NFL. He has 15 passing touchdowns and 10 interceptions in 12 games. And those are not good numbers, but when you look at him on film, he's running for his life majority of the time. In 12 games, he's been sacked 33 times, and he's been in and out of the lineup here and there. He does play reckless. I will give you that. This is a man that will go out there. He'll take the shots. He's not sliding all the time. In certain games against the Buffalo Bills or against the New York Jets, you will see him go out there and slide. He'll deliver the football on the dime. He'll avoid pressure like how he did against the Tennessee Titans in that matchup. You see the potential there. but they need to put more talent around this kid. Part of the reason to why he's been dealing with injuries is because his offensive line is so terrible. He has to run for his life. Vidarian Lowe is not a good starting tackle in the NFL, and he's a low draft pick for a reason. Now, in his defense, he was a backup tackle last season, but this is how bad the Patriots are right now on the offensive line. DeMondre Jacobs at the tackle position, right tackle. He's not a good tackle. He's horrible. He's a backup tackle at best, so they have to go out there and bring in some tackles to help out Drake Maye. They're going to have a lot of money this offseason, and Elliott Wolf is a general manager. Go out there and bring in some offensive linemen. Prioritize that over wide receiver. It doesn't matter who you have in the wide receiving position if your quarterback is getting blown up on every single play. And also in defense of Coach Mayo, because I'm going to have a lot of criticism for Coach Mayo later in this video, the team has dealt with so many injuries up front. David Andrews has missed majority of this season, dealing with a shoulder injury. Cole Strange, very good player. But David Andrews and Cole Strange, those are your two best offensive linemen. It was only so much that you can do without David Andrews in this lineup. And David Andrews got injured early in the season, at the beginning portion of the season. When I look at the wide receiving position, the wide receivers aren't good. Demario Douglas, solid player. I believe that he's a number 2 at best. He will show flashes of being a true number 1 wide receiver, but he's not there just yet. And I don't believe that he will ever be there. And it's not me saying that he's a bad player. Just right now, he's not a true number 1. And he would benefit a lot for playing alongside a guy like T. Higgins, who they should target in free agency. And you should overpay for him because you have the money to do so. Drake Maye is on his rookie deal. Go out there and bring in someone like T. Higgins. But you have Demario Douglas alongside someone like T. Higgins, who could be a true number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. That's great. I don't like the idea of going out there and paying Stephon Diggs a lot of money. He's coming off a torn ACL injury. And Chris Godwin, he's going to be coming off a gruesome knee injury also. So go out there and do whatever it takes to bring in T. Higgins. To Elliott Wolf's credit, he tried to bring in Calvin Ridley, but Calvin Ridley wanted to play with the Tennessee Titans, and I believe that that's a terrible move. When you have a potential quarterback to play with like Drake Maye, and you select Will Levis over him, that's all on Calvin Ridley. So they've tried to bring in some wide receivers. It didn't work out. Hopefully they can go out there and bring in T. Higgins. If they can't, go draft you a wide receiver in the first or second round. And speaking of drafting wide receivers, Jalen Polk. Now, this is a guy that was very good at Washington. He played with Michael Penix Jr., Rome Odunze, very good and productive player. He can barely do anything on the field. You had Ladd McConkey in the last game. That man has better receiving numbers than Javon Baker and also Jalen Polk. That is not a good situation for the wide receivers or even the general manager that drafted both of these players. You drafted Jalen Polk over Ladd McConkey. You're still stuck in that spiral that Bill Belichick was stuck in. You draft a wide receiver, he's doing little to nothing with your organization, and you look at the wide receivers behind him, they're going out there and they're looking like franchise wide receivers for their teams. They should have drafted Ladd McConkey. And I look at the situation in that wide receiving room. Demario Douglas is the only guy that's going to give you consistent separation on a weekly basis. He's the only one. Besides him, you have Kayshawn. I think that Kayshawn is solid. He's the number 3 at best. And you have Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne is not the same wide receiver that he once was before he tore his ACL. Solid playmaker at best. That's it. You don't have a game changer on the outside. And it's forcing Drake Maye to hold on to the football a little bit longer. It's forcing him to run outside the pocket and try to push guys down the field and point them into the right direction. And you look at Drake Maye, half of the time he doesn't believe in him. He just runs, he just takes off. And these wide receivers, they're dropping the football. Hunter Henry and Demario Douglas, those are your 2 best playmakers right now. And no offense to either one of those guys. They're very good football players. You need a game changer at wide receiver to help out Drake Maye and help maximize Drake Maye's potential. Look at what the Buffalo Bills did. They made the move to bring in Stephon Diggs. Now you look at Josh Allen. He's a better player because of it. You have to have elite weapons in today's NFL on the offensive side of the ball to compete on a yearly basis. And if you don't have that, it's not going to work. So they need to fix the offensive line, and you need to fix the wide receiving position. If Drake Maye was to go out there and start the entire season from week 1, because we also have to remember this, Jacoby Brissett started the first quarter of the season. He started the first few games. They went to Drake Maye. If he was to start from week 1, he would be the 3rd most sacked quarterback in the NFL. That's a recipe for disaster. And this is a rookie quarterback that still doesn't know how to take care of himself just yet in the NFL. They have to bring in the right talent around this kid. The running backs, Ramondre Stevenson, he fumbles the football too much. He's a solid running back. Now, they just gave him a contract extension. He's never fumbled the football like this before in his career. He has to be a better player, or they're going to have to move off of Ramondre Stevenson. And we've seen them go out there and bench Ramondre Stevenson in favor of Antonio Gibson. The problem is this: Antonio Gibson is not a better player than Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson can go out there and average 3 to 4 yards a carry. He just fumbles the football too much, and that's a death sentence in today's NFL. Even dating back to many decades ago, you fumble the football at the running back position, you're not going to last long in this league. I don't care how good you are. You have to take care of the football. That's also hurt this team on the end. That has nothing to do with Coach Mayo. That's just the players going out there and not taking care of the football. So the interceptions are a concern with Drake Maye, but this is a terrible situation for any quarterback in the NFL, let alone a rookie quarterback that is still trying to learn and navigate their way through the NFL. And he has little to no help in the backfield with his running back fumbling on a consistent basis. But when you look at the base numbers with Ramondre Stevenson and how bad this offensive line is, he has 801 rushing yards and 7 rushing touchdowns, and he's averaging 4 yards a carry. Those base numbers aren't bad. It's just the fumbles. And this brings in the Coach Mayo debate. Should they keep Coach Mayo, or should they let him go after one season? The problem is this, guys, for the ones that don't know. Earlier in this video, I said that a guy in Josh McDaniels was eventually going to be the head coach with the Patriots if he was just to stick around for just a few more years. But he walked away, and they wanted to find a replacement plan. Bill Belichick was not going to coach forever. They were talking about this 3 to 4 years ago. And Coach Mayo was the guy that they picked to be groomed by Bill Belichick and to be placed into this situation that he's in today, to be the head coach with the Patriots. On one end, this roster is terrible and they have little talent. On the other end, the in-game management with Coach Mayo is completely horrible. It seems like he's in over his head. Coach Mayo went from being a linebackers coach to being a head coach. That's too much too soon. It's similar to what happened with Matt Eberflus and the Chicago Bears. The man went from being a linebackers coach with the Indianapolis Colts, and then he went to becoming the head coach with the Chicago Bears. Too much too soon. I do believe that Coach Mayo has a lot of redeemable qualities. But when he goes out there in the press conference right after the game, he sounds like he's a player. You can't do that in the NFL. He'll throw coordinators underneath the bus. He'll throw players underneath the bus. And Bill Belichick, he would go out there and he'll be very coy. He'll give you the basic answer to say, you know what, we're on to Cincinnati. We'll execute better. We'll go back and watch film. Coach Mayo will go out there and say things like this. It was a situation against the Arizona Cardinals. Drake Maye could have ran the football on the goal line. The reporter asked him, why not have Drake Maye run for 1 or 2 extra yards? He's like, man, I'm questioning that myself. That means that you're not hand to hand with your coordinator and Alex Van Pelt, who is your offensive coordinator. As a head coach, you have to be hand in hand with your coordinators. You have to be with them every single step of the way. Coach Mayo doesn't get the benefit of just being a linebackers coach anymore. You're the head coach now. You take care of everything. You take care of defense. You take care of offense. You take care of special teams. You sit in on all of those meetings. That's why a lot of those head coaches in year 1, and some of them, if they get to stick around for year 6 and year 7, it seems like they've aged a complete decade within that time every single year, because you don't get the time to just go out there and worry about one position and just worry about one position group. You have to worry about the entire team. And it seems like Coach Mayo's not doing that right now. And I'm not going to come on here and give him the benefit of the doubt. No, they groomed you for this position. You got to work underneath Bill Belichick with that defense. You got to work with Bill Belichick and see what he did on a day-to-day basis. And this team doesn't look the same. Even though they were terrible last season, they were 4-13. The defense did look better. Granted, the defense has been dealing with a lot of injuries, and they've been dealing with a lot of injuries at the linebacker position and in the secondary. They're not showing the same heart. And Coach Mayo called this team soft against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And you have Bill Belichick coming out on Pat McAfee's show and saying, you know what? They're not soft. Those are not a soft group of guys. I coached them last season. For one, Bill Belichick, respectfully, Christian Barmore has missed majority of this season dealing with blood clots in his lungs. And that's an amazing run stopper. They've missed him, and he's their best pass rusher also. You have him, you have Keon White. If both of those guys can get to the quarterback, your defense will look better. The linebacker position with this team, they've been gutted with injuries. Jawan Bentley has missed majority of this season dealing with an injury. And Jawan Bentley, you can make the case, is their best interior linebacker. He's had a pectoral injury. You look at the secondary, Jabril Peppers, an amazing safety with the New England Patriots, dealt with an injury, and he dealt with a situation off the field with domestic violence. And he wasn't going to be able to go out there and be cleared to play until they got that cleared up. So he has missed majority of this year. So star defensive players are out. I really hope that Christian Barmore is okay. He was able to come back and play a couple of games this season, but blood clots are something very serious. For the ones that don't know, Chris Bosh dealt with a similar situation. He's a former power forward with the Miami Heat. He had to basically go out there and retire because of the blood clots in his lungs. I really hope that's not the case with Christian Barmore, because last season, the man had 8.5 sacks at the defensive tackle position. He's one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. They traded Josh Uche to the Kansas City Chiefs. Great move, by the way, because Josh Uche was not the same player that he was a few years ago when he had that breakout season, when he had 9.5 sacks playing alongside Matthew Judon. So you can't get to the quarterback on a consistent basis without Keon White. That's hurting you. That has nothing to do with Coach Mayo. This was going to be a problem eventually. Even if Matthew Judon was still going to be on this roster, Matthew Judon's not the same player with the Atlanta Falcons that he has been with the Patriots. And he's coming off a serious injury. He tore his biceps last season against the Dallas Cowboys. And in that same matchup, Christian Gonzalez got injured. And Christian Gonzalez has been their best defensive player. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. In my opinion, he's a top 3 cornerback this season. That kid is phenomenal. So Bill Belichick, in terms of drafting defensive talent, whether it was in the first round, 7th round, whenever, he had an eye for defensive talent. And I look at Coach Mayo, in certain games, he's making the right adjustments. You're seeing him go out there and be a very good head coach in certain moments. Just overall, it's not there just yet. They should stick with him for one more season. Because even if you're to bring in Mike Vrabel with this roster, I don't think that he could come in and turn things around just like that. This is a Patriots team. They're rebuilding for a reason because of bad offensive management. I don't care how great your defense is in the NFL, especially in today's NFL. Even 5 to 6 years ago, you could have had the best defense in the league. If you can't score points and your wide receivers can't get open and your offensive line is terrible, it's only so much you can do. Look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Many years ago, the Patriots defeated that team with that great defense. Blake Bortles was horrible. Patriots had a better offense and they had a very good defense at the time. But their offense was able to go out there and put up enough points. The Jaguars' offense was terrible because of the quarterback. But I look at Drake Maye. I really hope that he is the franchise quarterback with the Patriots. I really hope that he can go out there and he can be the guy. Many people thought that Mac Jones was going to be the guy after that rookie season, but so much mismanagement by Bill Belichick. And I'm not on the opposite side of the fence with Coach Mayo either. I do believe that they should give him one more season and let him figure things out with better talent. But if they were to fire Coach Mayo, I want everyone to know, especially if you're a Patriots fan, they're going to bring in Mike Vrabel, who is a former Patriot. They're going to bring back Josh McDaniels more than likely at the offensive coordinator position. And maybe that can fix Drake Maye. I'm going to also say this. I've seen Josh McDaniels without Bill Belichick his entire career. He's been horrible without Bill Belichick. Yes, he went out there and he had mild success with the Denver Broncos, but overall, that was terrible. As a head coach, he's a horrible coach. As an offensive mind, you can make the case that he is very good, especially with Tom Brady. But look at what Tom Brady did with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Won the Super Bowl in year number 1, made the NFL playoffs in year number 2. And that was with subpar coaching with Byron Leftwich. Tom Brady, just the greatest of all time. You can make anyone look good when you're the greatest of all time at that position. I do think the Patriots have something special with certain guys in this roster like Christian Gonzalez, Christian Barmore, if he can stay 100%, Jabril Peppers, Drake Maye, Ramondre Stevenson, if he can figure out that fumble situation. They have talent, but it's just not good enough right now. But to just come on here and blame all this on Coach Mayo, that's messed up. I don't agree with that. He's not a perfect head coach. He's far from it. And I do believe that this is too much too soon. But this is a problem that the Patriots have faced over the last few years, and it's starting to catch up to them. They have to go out there and bring in the right offensive personnel. And I do believe that Coach Mayo can have an eye for defensive talent because he's a former linebacker with the Patriots, and he was a solid linebacker when he was a player. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the New England Patriots and what should they do moving forward? And I also want to hear from Patriots fans, if they have the first overall pick, should they select a tackle or should they go with a guy like Travis Hunter? The Travis Hunter situation, for the ones that don't know, He's from Colorado. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. He can play both sides of the ball. I don't know if he can do it on the NFL level, but he's an amazing cornerback. And he's a very good wide receiver. I think that he's a better cornerback than wide receiver. But this is the Patriots team. They need talent in the worst way possible. So bringing in someone like Travis Hunter would be amazing to see. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.